Call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. I want to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, and the land on which we are meeting is the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis Nation. As a council and a municipality, we will continue to work on moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Ask for a motion for the adoption of the minutes, please.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on June 23rd, 2025 be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Nichols, seconded by Councillor Espy. All those in favor? And that is carried. Great. We have a delegation this evening for the Infant Memorial Garden. So if you want to come up to the podium, whoever's here is going to present, and just state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Greg Stanky, husband of Angie Stanky. We're a team going to be sharing our idea and the opportunity of Portage Infant Memorial Garden.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you to the council and to everyone here today that we're sharing this idea. I think just a couple of quick heartbeats. Why a Portage Infant Memorial Garden would be really important to Portage la Prairie and the surrounding area is that our daughter was in her last trimester of her first child, and had a complication. To kind of expedite that, what happened was they had to send her to Toronto and do an operation, which failed, and we lost our grandchild. So when we started thinking about what we have to do for us and for her to remember this child, his name was Wells, a little grandson. One of the comments that did come up from her was, you know what, unfortunately, nobody's ever going to remember that, we have a baby. They're not going to be around. They're not going to know the name and everything. So that really sparked the idea of Infant Memorial Garden, where we can, posthumously take care of all of these people that have the same issue. And as we started bringing it up to others in the community and family, somebody always had to say to us, we have somebody that we lost a child. We lost somebody to SIDS. We lost somebody. So there's quite a bit of a groundswell for this idea. So we've approached the city, and they were generous enough to provide us with a location at city at the Island Park. And conceptually, this is what we've kind of come up with in terms of a design. So it's open. It's not like a memorial. It's more of a celebration for those folks. And on there will be some plaques with the names of those who we've lost. And then on the bottom, we're going to have a row of plaques again for all those sponsors, including the City of Portage la Prairie and local folks that have provided grant and funding to us. So, so currently we've put together a group of folks that are going to be heading up our committee, and we have that submitted as well to Jocelyn. So it's probably in your minutes. This Infant Memorial Garden has been highly endorsed. We see our friends here from the Portage Community and Revitalization Corp. They just provided us a $5,000 grant. Sunset Palliative Care has provided us with some money. We've presented to the 150 Women banquet and was winner there, taking home the $10,000. So we're trying to develop enough money so that we can get this ongoing. We've also done a GoFundMe. We've had private donations. So I just have a quick total here to share with you. We're about $24,000 raised to date. We have put down a deposit for our memorial stone, similar to what that one's looking like. And GoFundMe was around 4,000, and private donations we had $150 or $1,500, excuse me, from Bailey Aerial Spray, $500 from Foil, $500 from Moran's. Numerous generous donations out there. So this is really going to take off, and we wanted to share our idea with you, and we wanted to thank you guys, and hopefully we can grow together in this one.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for Mr. Stanky?
And
Councillor Porter
and Mrs. Stacky.
and Mrs. Stanky over there.
Yeah.
I don't have, or thank you, Your Worship. I don't have any questions, just have a comment. That is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And I was just happened to be at the Island Park a couple weeks ago with my grandson, and I happened to notice a couple sitting together in the memorial garden, and it was very moving to see them there. And they were there for, I'm going to say, at least a couple hours, but they sure felt at home there in that place. And the memory garden, I'm sure everybody's seen it. It is just absolutely breathtaking and a very wonderful place to, you know, go with your couple or by yourself to spend some time there. And yeah, I'm happy we have something like that. Thank you.
And Councillor, to hitchhike on what your idea was, from the palliative care, this is going to be on the north side, kind of in between Splash Island and the palliative care, in a nice open area that, you know, if siblings are there with their kids and people are playing on the swings, they can come over and at least honor their children that are lost. So it's a really beautiful place, so thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
well thought out.
It's a beautiful project, and we know that our city team is working with you on it. So
Thank you.
they will continue to do that, and I know hopefully our local media will maybe do a story and spark some more fundraising for you. So thank you for showing us.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. We will open public hearing for second and third reading of bylaw 25-8778, zoning amendment PC 21-25, space holdings. This is second and third reading, so do I have to open it? Oh yeah, sorry. So I'll ask if there is anyone here to speak in favor of this application. If you would like to come to the microphone and state your name, and just let us know if you're here to make a statement or just here to answer any questions.
Yeah, no, it's Justin Kirshner. I'm one of the partners at MMP. I think you guys obviously know kind of what's going on here, but we're at capacity with our current building situation as far as parking goes. We're trying to purchase the house behind us to turn it into a parking lot. Essentially, right now we're using part of the street, and we want to try to be good neighbors. Obviously, we're prepared to follow all the guidelines as far as fencing, lighting, everything that has to go around it. But that's essentially, it's simple. That's our plan of what we're looking at doing.
Thank you.
Obviously, I'm in favor of it.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Kirshner? Councillor Porter?
Yes, currently, approximately how many parking spots do you have at your building right now?
I think the exact number right now is around 28 parking spots, and we're looking at producing, I think, there might be a sketch up here of that, but I thought it was around close to 12 spaces, additional spaces.
And can you tell me how many employees you have that need the parking?
Currently, right now, we're at 42 employees. We lose, it's give or take, right, because we do lose a few in the summer. But aside from our current staff, one thing you got to think about too is our clients are getting a lot bigger. A lot of our clients that are coming in our parking lot are anywhere from 4 to 15 people. So it's hard to squeeze those folks in as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Mr. Kirshner. I appreciate that. First, I just want to commend you guys for taking the proactive measure in regards to address your parking concerns. Sometimes it's just easier to throw them down the street. So first of all, I commend you for that, should council approve it or not. But you answered one question I had for the snow clearing plan. I'm confident enough in reassurance that you would have some kind of snow clearing plan in play.
Yeah, correct.
Yep.
Like right now we hire out our snow clearing, so it gets piled and then it gets hauled away. It would be the same thing that would happen with that portion of the parking lot.
Good. And then just some reassurance that there would be a fence, screen, stop any kind of lighting into any neighbor objections, similar.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know what all the exact requirements are, but right now we have a 4-foot fence around everything. We have all the lighting around, so obviously it's going to comply with whatever it needs to be, but it would match the current situation that's there.
For sure. And then this is attached to the current commercial building, the MN, where you guys occupy as MNP, right?
Yeah, correct.
all
It's
that
right
same.
behind it. Yeah.
Correct. And then the other part is if the house purchases, then you'll remove the house. That's the intent.
Yes, the intent's to remove the house and turn it into a parking lot.
Perfect. That's actually all I have. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll ask if anyone else is here to speak in favor of the application. Anyone here to speak against the application? Again, anyone here to speak against the application? Anyone here who has just simple questions about the application? And we do have one letter to be read out into record.
Yes, we have a letter of objection from Iris Diddick. It says, I, Iris Diddick, reside at 25 7th Street Northwest, directly north of the proposed rezoning. I strongly oppose the demolition of my neighbor's home to create a parking lot. This proposal directly affects our neighborhood's character, safety, and livability. Our community is built on families and homes, not asphalt. Turning a residence into a commercial parking lot area increases traffic, noise, and pollution, and reduces green space. It also sets a dangerous precedent that residential homes can be removed for development gains. More importantly, this decision would negatively affect our property values and the sense of community we all cherish. Parking lots bring transient traffic, not neighbors. I ask you to consider the long-term impact this will have on the people who actually live here, not just the convenience of a business. Please prioritize residents over cars. Our neighborhood deserves protection and respect. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Does council have any questions before we close the public hearing? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for bylaw 25-8778, zoning amendment for PC 21-25 for Space Holdings Limited at 19 7th Street Northwest now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council, as you're aware tonight, this is for second and third reading. First reading came back on May 12th and was passed at that time to go to the province. At that point in time, the province would review it without making obviously any decision, and but at this time had no comments or no objections. So tonight, and I won't review the request or the rezoning application in its entirety, but I do want to point out that council may give bylaw second reading under a couple of situations. One is that there's no objections at the public meeting. We have had one objection, but it does not meet the threshold of the numbers, which I'll speak to in just a second. That there's sufficient objections are received, council may give the bylaw second reading and must provide notice to all objectors. And then under section 7313, amending a bylaw zone, if you had 25 eligible persons or 50% of the total number of owners of property located within 100 meters of the affected property. Council may make changes to the bylaw. They may choose not to proceed with the bylaw. And just in summary, the background is the property in question is 19 7th Street Northwest, lots 41, 42, Plan 34 in the parish of Portage la Prairie, which we know is currently zoned as an R1. There's a house currently on that property. The applicants, Space Holdings Limited, wish to rezone this property to C1, obviously because you can't put a surface parking lot in a residential or R1 zoned area. to rezone it to C1 neighborhood commercial zone so that they can put a parking lot in there. My understanding is the parking lot would be for their own employees, clients, and the like. There is a our planning development and talks about the downtown corridor. This does fall within that area. It goes on to explain a little bit about the neighborhood area interface, but really it falls within the downtown corridor guidelines. Oh, that's a big spider. Sorry, there's a squirrel up there. It's okay, I got the big guy next to me. Thanks, Ryan.
There was a spider.
If you see me kind of scream, don't take it personally. It's nothing to do with that. Anyway, sorry, back to that. So the application was circulated to the various city departments with a request of a plan to be seen to how to confirm how snow clearing would work and ensuring that there is fencing boards or some type of a screening process to stop lights from shining into neighborhood houses. Applicant has addressed that. Application has been advertised in the Daily Graphic for 2 consecutive weeks, circulated to the province, and public notice has been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius of the proposed development. As of reading this tonight, we've received the one objection, which has been noted to the proposed rezoning scheme. And as I mentioned, the documents were circulated to provincial departments and agencies with no objections. With that said, it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the application to rezone the land known as 19 7th Street Northwest, legally described as lots 41, 42, Plan 34, Parish of Portage la Prairie, from R1, or residential single-family zone, to C1, neighborhood commercial zone, and that bylaw number 25-8778 be read a second time.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. Any questions or comments from council? Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Worship. I will be supporting this recommendation for 2 reasons. Just so council is aware, is that does fit within our development plan for the downtown corridor. We do have another various locations that have the same consideration. There is a back alley that does separate that lot, but it's not commercial property, residential, commercial, residential. So it does fit within the development plan. I think the biggest gain from something like this would also reduce residential street parking, which wouldn't congest up in that area there as well. I do want to note the letter of objection. I do take those very seriously and try to balance the benefit for the area and the community as well. So with that said, Madam Mayor, I will be supporting this motion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Espy?
Thank you, Your Worship. I will also be supporting this with respect to the objector. I think they may find that they will find their neighborhood less congested once the employees have a place to park instead of using the on-street parking on the side streets. And also point out that there is very recent precedent for doing this exact thing in the downtown corridor area with R1 zoned properties directly behind a business.
I will be supporting this as well, and I think to some of the concerns about, you know, the way it looks or a parking lot, I think this particular applicant has had, you can see in their property that they take great consideration in the facade and the look of their property. So I have complete faith that they will make sure that this even though it is a parking lot, will blend in and follow all the guidelines that are expected of them. So yeah, thank you. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you.
And
Oh, and
it's okay.
Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Come on. Where are you? Just a minute. And that bylaw number 258778 be read a third time, finally passed, signed, and sealed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay. I'll now open public hearing request for variation PC 41-25, Salgado at 256 Seneca Street. I'll ask if anyone is here to speak in favor of this application. Again, anyone here to speak in favor of this application? I'll ask if anyone is here to speak against this application. Again, anyone here to speak against this application? Does council have anything they need to know before we close the public hearing? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for variation PC 41-25 Salgado at 256 Seneca Street now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that is carried. What did I do? Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm out of spiders, so. To the Planning and Economic Development Committee, a request for variation for 256 Seneca Street, Lot 2, Block 3, Plan 1867. Council, simply what the applicant would request to do is to reduce the 1.5 meter, which is the requirement from your neighbor's property line, down to 0.6 meters, as he would like to build a carport. Francisco Salgado is applying for the variation to vary the side yard requirement. The building currently is an R160 residential single-family dwelling zone. Council has approved a similar request in the past as follows, and you'll see that there is the sketch, street sketch, and then the street site plan there for your reference as well. And the minutes from the similar request were there for your reference as well. The application has been circulated to various city departments. There have been no concerns, and the public notice has been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius, and obviously no objections. With that said, it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the council of the city of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Francisco Salgado to vary the side yard requirement of 1.5 meters down to 0.6 meters for a carport at the property known as 256 Seneca Street, which is legally described as Lot 2, Lot 2, Block 3, Plan 1867 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Any questions or comments from council?
I did originally have some questions, Your Worship, but they've all been answered, and I am happy to move forward with this.
Thank you. And I just did that backwards, so that's okay. I'm gonna recall the question in a minute. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? No? Okay, we'll do that again. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay. Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Worship and colleagues. This evening, we have an important issue to deal with, and it's the utility rate increases under bylaw 25-8781. And the background this evening is the Public Utilities Board is an independent quasi-judicial administrative tribunal with broad oversight and supervisory authority over public utilities and designated monopolies. In reviewing and approving utility rates, the PUB considers both the financial sustainability of the utility and the impact on customers. As you may recall, in 2024, the City of Portage la Prairie engaged in Way to Go Consulting to conduct a comprehensive utility rate study. The city currently determines utility rates by forecasting future costs and applying proportional percentage increase to existing rates. And this is applied uniformly across all rate steps over a 4-year period, 2027 to 2030, culminating in the target of rate by 2030. The next set of proposed water and wastewater rates is scheduled to take effect January 1, 2027. These rates include the Saskatchewan Avenue West surcharge, which we did discuss at the last council meeting, but exclude the anticipated surcharge related to the water treatment plant upgrade and expansion debenture. So this evening is not dealing with the construction aspect of our water plant, proposed water treatment plant. The water treatment plant surcharge will be subject to a separate PUB application and approval process once the construction costs are finalized. A detailed analysis of the city's utility operations was conducted by the consultant, resulting in a final recommendation for rate adjustments. Consultations with industrial customers, the Arma Portage la Prairie and Yellowhead Regional Water Co-op were held to review the proposed rates, which include allocations to reserves for future and necessary capital investments. The primary driver of these rate increases is the rise in operating costs for water purification and treatment associated with the planned water treatment plant upgrade and expansion. Additionally, the city aims to increase its annual utility reserve transfer to $4 million, up from $3.5 million in the 2020 rate study, to ensure we have adequate funding for future infrastructure costs. The table below shows what the rate increases will be. I'll just go through the first line, the quarterly utility bill. You'll see the current rate of $198.69. In 2027, the rate will go to $223.71. In 2028, it'll go to $245.93. 2029, $268.15, and last year, 2030, $290.38. That's the quarterly utility bill changes. Following first reading, the rate application will be submitted to the Public Utilities Board for review and approval. And as part of its process, the PUB will issue a notice of application, which the city must post publicly. This notice invites public feedback on the proposed rates. The PUB will then determine whether a public hearing is required. The estimated timeline for PUB approval is approximately 1 year. So the recommendation this evening, and I would move that bylaw 258781, being a bylaw of the City of Portage la Prairie for the 2027 to 2030 utility rates, be given first reading.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Before we cast a vote on this, we just have a letter that we'll read out into record. Okay.
We received a letter from Roquette as follows. Dear City of Portage la Prairie team, Roquette is in receipt of correspondence from Carly Friesen, Director of Utility, City of Portage la Prairie, dated May 22nd, 2025 and June 16th, 2025, informing Roquette that city staff intends to bring forth the first reading of the bylaw to proceed with a water and sewer rate increase application to the Public Utilities Board, or PUB, before the Portage la Prairie City Council, or Council, being held on Monday, June 23rd, 2025. Roquette submits this letter in response to be read into the public record because a representative from Roquette will not be able to present at the hearing. As Council knows, Roquette is a global leader in plant-based ingredients, a pioneer of plant proteins, and a leading provider of pharmaceutical excipients. Roquette has invested more than 600 million Canadian for construction of the world's largest pea processing plant in Portage la Prairie, or the city. Roquette is one of the largest, if not the largest, single purchaser of Canadian-grown yellow peas for direct processing in Canada, the large majority of which are purchased from Manitoba farmers, with the resulting benefits to various aspects of the agricultural industry, including producers, suppliers, services, and others. Roquette's position is that the city has failed to meaningfully consult and provide adequate information to justify the need for and rate impact of the project. The following three examples demonstrate the inadequate consultation and uncollaborative process to date. Number one, when Roquette raised that the city has not provided sufficient justification of the need for the project in its letter dated December 6th, 2024, the city responded with a one-page high-level summary of the need for the project in a letter dated December 17th, 2024. A one-page explanation of the need for a project estimated to cost approximately $100 million is wholly inadequate. Number two, the city proceeded with passing the first reading of the borrowing bylaw and seeking PUB approval to fund the project prior to the detailed design for the project being completed and prior to adequate consultation being undertaken. That is, the borrowing bylaw and PUB application were advanced prematurely. Indeed, the rate study report before council today indicates that the cost estimate for the project has changed subsequent to December 2024. Further, in the city's correspondence dated December 17th, 2024, the city indicated that it intended to consult with industries and the public after it's submitted its application to the PUB. This demonstrates that the city understood there was a need to conduct consultation. However, completing an after-the-fact consultation initiative is hardly conducive to meaningful consultation and collaboration. Number 3, the city repeatedly puts the onus on Roquette to request information in relation to the project and suggests that it has responded to all information requests. This is misleading and represents Roquette's previous correspondence to date. To be clear, it is not acceptable for the city to provide a one-page summary of the project need, high-level PowerPoints, providing general statements without detailed analysis and data, and general assertions of future population growth and industrial growth. True disclosure and proactive engagement would have been for the city to provide detailed analysis, engineering reports, and detailed cost estimates to justify the need for and costs of the project to all key stakeholders. From the limited information provided to date, Roquette is not assured that the project is appropriately sized for the projected growth of the community, and the estimated rate increase may incentivize industrial customers to disconnect from the city's utility system and self-supply their own water treatment services. This is contrary to sound utility decision-making and rate-making principles, which should promote efficient use of existing and future utility infrastructure. To the extent rates becomes too costly and inefficient and results in industrial customers disconnecting from the utility system, residential customers would be faced with material and sustained increases to their rates. In such circumstances, the project may not be required, and if the city proceeded with the project in any event, residential customers would bear much of the $50 million debt incurred by the city. The city would also be unable to attract additional industrial usage of its utility system, rendering its initial assumptions regarding industrial growth that underpin the need for the project obsolete. Roquette requests that the council implement a pause in advancing the project to allow meaningful consultation with industrial customers and seek to understand the serious risks of creating the incentive to self-supply water treatment services. As a first step, Roquette requests that council reject the proposed bylaw for a rate increase. Given that the largest contributor to the proposed rate increase are increases in water purification and treatment expenses due to the additional costs associated with the project, the city should not implement those increases until proper and meaningful consultation on the project is facilitated. It is Roquette's sincere desire to work collaboratively with the city to understand and mitigate the potential negative consequences of the project. The city has one chance to get this project right and ensure that utility costs are just and reasonable for existing and future users. As part of this collaborative initiative during the pause, Roquette is prepared to present to city staff and council its detailed assessment of the incentive to self-supply water treatment services based on the current project scope and estimated rate increases. This understanding will assist the city in understanding why it is in the interest of the city and both industrial and residential customers to assess and mitigate the risks and harms of the project. Roquette formally requests an opportunity to present on this topic at the City Council meeting scheduled on July 14th, 2025. Roquette submits that its concerns are more appropriately discussed and resolved in this context, rather than through contested Manitoba Public Utility Board proceedings. However, to the extent that Roquette continues to face obstacles to accessing information and a willingness to collaborate on practical solutions, Roquette will explore all legal options as well as continue to assess the economic value of remaining a water treatment services customer of the city. Thank you, Chris Chinnery, Plant Manager, Roquette Canada Limited.
Thank you. Does council have any questions or comments? Councillor Massey?
Thank you, Worship and colleagues. Being this is first reading, I'll just make a few comments more on the process and the fact that, as you can see, this is a start of a process. We are looking at a rate increase in January of 2027. So right now the rates are staying the same until then. We're also have done due diligence. We've done a major study on our water rates and what's needed. And the PUB is there for exactly the reasons I outlined. It's there to ensure the public concerns are listened to, but also to make sure our utility is sustainable down the road. And so they have a very big mandate, and they have a lot of authority in dealing with rates. So I'm confident now we're giving first reading. We've got potentially a year, and we said all along, we're going to be open and transparent with our citizens about this water treatment plant. This is one of the largest projects, but this is about our future as a city and a community and a region. And we want to make sure our residents have good potable water, that we can bring businesses to Portage. And so this is going to be a very important project for our city. And I'm confident we've done the due diligence on these rates. I'm open-minded. It's going to the Public Utilities Board. And so I hope companies, citizens who wish to make representation do so. But the PUB has two obligations. One is to look at the concerns of citizens, but they also have to look, are we doing what's going to keep our utility sustainable down the road? So for first reading, I'm happy to support the bylaw to go first reading and send it to the PUB. And let's just hear what happens, and let's hear what comes forward. But I feel good about this bylaw, and it's really looking at the future in terms of our rates. This is strictly now for the increased costs for the new plant. This is not going to be about the construction phase at all. So let's have a look at this, send it to the PUB. We've got a year. It's the start of a journey of our council and our citizens, and I'm confident that at the end of the process we'll have a good process for our citizens and companies to respond. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Espy?
Thank you, Your Worship, and I will, of course, agree with Councillor Massey that our due diligence has been done here. My question is about process. So if we give first reading successfully, it goes to PUB, and upon PUB approval, it comes back here for second reading, and at that point, would there be a public hearing as well?
Ms. Chakota?
The PUB will review the information and the objections, and they'll encourage any objectors to work with the city cooperatively, and they will determine the need for a public hearing. And the Director of Finance, do you have anything to add?
No, that's it. It's up to the PUB to decide if we need to have a public hearing once they've received the information and comments from our utility users.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councillor Doyle?
Thank you, Your Worship. The letter from Roquette had stated that they request the opportunity to present publicly on this topic at this evening's meeting. I know it is first reading, but was there any follow-up to that request?
Sure. Ms. Chakota?
Thank you, Your Worship. We have been in regular correspondence with Roquette. There's a typical process that we follow with these matters, one of which is typically meeting with staff, but we have recently extended the invitation to the mayor and the chair of the Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols, to attend that meeting as well, so that we can hear their concerns and look for a solution that we can pose together.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just comment on that. I think it's important for Mr. Chinnery to understand that there was definitely some things in that letter that, you know, caused me to sit back, and there's been discussion since I've been in this chair for the last 3 years and previously as a counselor, that there has been a whole lot of turnover in that organization with people that we've dealt with. And so it just really brought to light that we take some responsibility in making sure that we're keeping the lines of communication open with them as best as we can. And we have a new city manager, and so we've put it as a priority to do that moving forward, and also, you know, brings to light that we're going to make sure that we're doing it with all of our other major users, because there's many in our region. So yeah. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Massey?
Just one more comment I forgot to mention, Your Worship. And having dealt with the Public Utilities Board in my previous life, I can assure you they take citizens and users of the utility concerns very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just an academic exercise. They go through the material in depth, and that's why it takes quite a while. And anybody that has concerns, and as was mentioned by our city manager, at the end of the process, they can call a public hearing for these rates, depending what they hear and their analysis of our due diligence report. But don't kid yourself, the Public Utilities Board has got incredible amount of powers to make sure the citizens' concerns and users are heard.
Good comments. Councillor Nichols?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to take the time to comment on this first reading, and in looking at the future of Portage and where we need to be, and with our water treatment plant, this is a great step forward in terms of sustainability, but also growth for the industrial piece, not to mention our residents. And where we're going with this, it's been well capsulated in terms of the design, the processes, and the improvements. And the part that's going to help us too is the cost of production down the road is going to be substantially probably optimized in terms of funding and what we need to do for operation. And the plant itself, the upgrade to it is going to be it's going to step into the future where we need to be. I look forward to speaking with Roquette and any other industries in terms of the way going forward here. Our city manager is paving a wonderful road in terms of communication, and along with the mayor. And these, as Councillor Massey's PUB is a step and a process that we will follow, and we will learn as we go along the way, and everyone will give them the chance to speak, just as we are tonight here with the first reading. So I'm thankful for the support in terms of, and I will be supporting this motion, and thank you for that time. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? And that is carried. City Planning and Economic Development, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. City Planning and Economic Development Committee has nothing to report at this point in the meeting.
Thank you. Community Services Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Community Services Committee has nothing to report.
Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Worship. Waterworks Committee has nothing to report at this portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
Thank you, Your Worship. Transportation has nothing to report.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Public Safety Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. We have no deferred business. We'll move right into new business. We have first reading of bylaw 258782, zoning amendment PC 40-25, Dutt Fox at 360 Baker Street. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor, as you probably reviewed in front of you, is a rezoning application. Tonight, we have the opportunity to give it first reading. So it's to commence the zoning amendment process by rezoning the above listed property, which is at 360 Baker Street, or officially Lot 5, Plan 32937, within the City of Portage la Prairie, zoning bylaw number 218724, and by giving bylaw number 258782 the first reading. The property in question is for 360 Baker Street, which is currently zoned as an M2, or a heavy industrial zone. The applicant, Nick Hildutt, wishes to rezone the property to an M1 light industrial zone. The applicant would like to have an amusement outdoor use in this location. Of course, this amusement outdoor use is not allowed in an M2, but is a conditional use within an M1. The Portage la Prairie development states the following, talks about the commercial industrial area uses. I won't get into all of the details, as I'm sure you're familiar with them. The application was circulated to various city departments with the concern that there are a number of uses allowed in M1 zones that are not permitted in M2 zones. One example would be the amusement enterprises. They feel that rezoning request does not commit the applicant to a plan, and it doesn't. The rezoning request does not seem appropriate given the area and would have concerns with conflicting uses. There's also another concern raised given the property's direct across access to both CP and CN, and they think the parcel is better suited to M2 zoning. It's in a prime location for M2 type businesses from an investment attraction and economic development lens, and from a safety perspective, M2 seems more appropriate considering the surrounding infrastructure and traffic conditions specifically for that piece of land. So as per Section 74 of the Planning Act, Council shall indicate its intentions to enact a zoning bylaw amendment by giving first reading and proceed with a public notice as set out in Section 168. The first reading of the bylaw will then commence the process as defined in the Planning Act in considering this application. With that said, it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie give bylaw number 258782 first reading, and that public notice be provided as defined in Section 168 of the Planning Act.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Nichols. Any questions or comments? Councillor Meyer?
Sorry, thank you, Your Worship. I just want to speak to real quick, and just to give Council a little bit more insight. I do have one process question and then just a follow-up comment, if I may, Madam Mayor.
Sure.
The first one is the process. We get this thing first reading, same scenario as previous. It has to come back to council for second, third reading, and then it can either be approved or turned down at that point in time.
Correct.
So tonight, we're not approving it. We're just approving the first reading.
Correct.
Good. Secondly, I just want to speak real quick to, obviously, as Chair of Planning, we take it quite seriously how our city is laid out, the planning zones that we have, future growth, future intentions, and so on. This entire area on that whole northeast corner of Portage is all currently M2. When you go to M1, it does change things. And just for council's information, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. So even though, and I don't question the applicant's intent as to what they want to put there, we cannot force them to have a development agreement. When you go from an M2 to an M1, if they should change, which they always have the option, it does open up a variety of different things that you can use it for. One is, of course, it opens up the amusement, both an indoor and an outdoor. Secondly, it changes from a condition, or from a permitted use, from a conditional use for a bus depot to a permitted use, which means they don't have to apply for conditional use, so council would have no recourse over it. Could be a contractor's establishment, the same scenario. Could be a drive-through establishment, and I won't get into all those details, but a drive-through establishment's not allowed in an M2, but it is permitted within an M1. Could allow a hotel or motel. Hotel or motel is not allowed in an M2, but it can be as a conditional use, so council can have a say in it. For that perspective, it can also go from for a mini self-storage unit, which is conditional in an M2, but permitted now in an M1. And just one last one, professional services, same scenario. They're a conditional use in an M2, and now they're permitted in an M1. So I guess the whole point of that is that does change significantly what can be done in that area. Looking at the entire planning development agreement and how our city is laid out, I will not be speaking in favor of this. I will certainly have no problem supporting the first reading of the bylaw, because I would certainly like to hear what obviously others have to say, but at this point in time, I would not be supporting the second or the third reading or passing it to change this zone at this time.
Okay.
That's all I have to say. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor SB?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think Councillor Meyer did an excellent job of outlining the types of things that would be permitted if this rezone or the zoning amendment took place, and all of the things we would not have control over going into this piece of property, because the application, although we don't necessarily are privy to every detail, it was pretty light on data. Now, I am with Councillor Meyer on this. I would support first reading, but I would really struggle to go beyond that. I would like to hear what happens at second reading and the possible public hearing.
Thank you. Can I ask a question? If this to planning district, if this doesn't go through, if first reading doesn't pass here, can an applicant, they could reapply again with a different piece of property, could they not?
That is correct. They could reapply in a different property location or different zoning to have it rezoned as well to fit their use that they wish to conduct business on.
Yeah. I won't be supporting this tonight in this location, even to go through first reading. I think I take into consideration what our planning district has said about their concerns in leaving that property open for M2. But I would suggest that this applicant take time and possibly meet with our economic development office, or if they're looking at some sort of, we're all for outdoor recreation or whatever they're looking at, which we don't really know, and maybe there's other opportunities for them within the city to do that in. I just don't think with what happens over in that area, especially when we look at accessibility, you know, even if we look in the future of public transportation, it's not really quite in that realm of where things are going to happen. So yeah, that's where I sit on this one. Any other? Councillor Meyer?
Sorry, thank you, Your Worship. And just in respect to that, I certainly appreciate your comments. The reason I would like to hear or see it go through first reading is I would, based on maybe the caveat that the applicant gives us an idea of what they want. And the only reason I say that, even though I'm not in favor of that area should stay M2. If it is an amusement, outdoor zip line, something that can't be handled within inside a commercial zone where maybe those types of operations should be, then maybe that is the place for it. But as Councillor Espy said, I'm so unaware of what the intent is there that I can't make a rational decision on it. So that would be the reason why I'd be supporting the first reading of it, just to see, and hopefully if the applicant comes back, because it would be a public hearing at that point and the applicant can present, am I correct? Correct. Just to see what their plan and what their idea is. I just would like to see more of that. If they don't show up, I think we know exactly where my vote's going to go at that point in time. So thank you, Madam.
Okay. Councillor Massey?
Thank you, Your Worship. Maybe a question to the chair, Councillor Meyer, just because I know you have a lot of experience in this, and so does Councillor Espy. If you're really not supportive of that area in principle, why approve first reading? Like, I know it generates a hearing and we hear more things, but if we're just not overall in favor of the principle of the area, I'm just trying to get my head around why we would support first reading then. Just a
Councillor
question.
Meyer?
Yes, I can certainly address that. Thank you, Councillor Massey. What happens when you get into, obviously, an M2 zone does not have the ability to have an amusement portion, right? If they allowed in an M1, which is really just a step down, when you look at exactly what the definition of an M1 light industrial zone is, they have it there as a conditional use. So there's some rationale in the past on why you'd want to put some type of an amusement park or amusement center or whatever it may be within a industrial zone. So there had to be some rationale in the past. So as they say, to me, dependent on what that actually would look like, would actually help my decision to go through second and third reading. I'm not sure if that clarifies it here. I'll maybe just one step further, and maybe Councillor Espy, who's got some other experience in it as well. So right now, it's zoned M2 or heavy industrial zone. The intent of this zone is to provide land for the careful siting of a wide range of industrial uses where certain obnoxious elements must be accepted as characteristics of their use. Where possible, such uses will be located as far possible from residentials and other zones to minimize detrimental effects of the industry on other land uses. If you turn it to an M1, it provides land for the development of warehouse and other low-impact industrial uses that are seen compatible with other nearby residential or commercial uses, which is really what's there now. Industrial uses are permitted which carry on their operations in such a manner that no nuisance factor is created or emitted, and contained or screened outside storage may be permitted. I have no clue or idea what their plan is, but that's why I'm curious to see what that may be. And I wish somebody was here tonight, because then I may not move forward on supporting the first reading of the bylaw.
Councillor Espy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to address Councillor Massey's question, I guess if somebody believes in their concept enough, I would like to hear what they have to say about it. But and the three readings gives us an opportunity to do that. Now, that being said, I have no idea what that is. So as easily as I can't give them a firm yes with no information, I struggle to just say no as well, if that makes sense.
Councillor Nichols?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just, thank you for this information, Councillor Meyer. It's helping me lots here right now, but I'm just wondering if there's a M1 that would help in those purposes and uses support an M2 in that area for something. You talked about drive-through and storage space and what have you and whatnot. Would possibly there's something conducive to that would, could be within the M2, and they talk about that you would have to put up with that M2 industrial area. I'm just, I'm vague. I wish that there was more answers in terms of what it is that they're seeking and their application piece, and I would be interested to hear that before moving without putting this I would support
Thank you.
first reading. Thank you.
Thank you. And since this wasn't a public hearing, the applicant wasn't required to be here for that. So maybe to Mr. Gessel, if you have any insight on this application that you could give us more than that.
From what it's been explained to us, the planning district, as far as the outdoor amusement, they're looking at setting up bouncy castles, things that fall in line with that to entertain the youth population. When we look at it, it is tricky. We do have to put it into an M1 just because it's not permitted in M2. So kind of when we go through these situations, we try and find what best would fit the applicant's idea as far as zoning when they're looking at a rezoning. What we also suggest, put this correctly, I guess, would be, does this meet the area?
Mm-hmm.
We can't speak to what city council or public would think, but we do give them recommendations as to, it may go your way, it may not, in a sense. And we always recommend that they do show up to voice their opinion, to give council better feedback and have a better understanding of what may be happening. But I hope that clarifies a bit, just as far as when they're requesting rezoning based on ideas they have. We try and make it fit within the area, but we can't discourage in a sense.
Yep. Thank you. Councillor Porter?
I think it's pretty clear, thank you, Worship, it's pretty clear that the applicant wants to build an amusement center or park of some sort, not a storage facility. And so, but thanks for adding on to what kind of amusement park. But in light of all that, I'm not going to be in favor of first reading, so.
Thank you. Councillor Massey?
Thank you, Your Worship. And first of all, I totally respect Councillor Meyer and SB's knowledge on planning. They have a great understanding. What I'm struggling with is what in the first reading, what would change? What would you need to hear to even get your approval on the second reading? It looks like it's almost not going to happen in that zone. Like, it's a big change from what I can see from M2 to M1. So I'm just trying to understand, would there be something that is said in a public hearing that would say, yes, that will approve the second reading? And I'm only questioning, I'm not trying to question your judgment on this. I'm just trying to understand, if I vote for a first reading, what do I need to hear so that it's going to make a go of it in an M2 versus M1? Sorry, I'm not maybe as clear as I...
Councillor Meyer?
All good, and thank you, Your Worship. And that's why I wanted to clarify the process. First of all, by approving first reading doesn't approve the zoning change. What I would need to hear, in all due respect, Councillor Massey, is I would need to hear what their development plan is. We can't request them to have one. If they have one, then I'm not in favor of it. I mean, I just wanted to make sure, this is so close, and I forgot to mention my previous comments, so close to where we are zoned M1, right? It might be, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 lots over, where if they were in that area, which is only maybe 80 feet, right, it becomes an M1, they could put that up and they wouldn't need to come to council because it was already permitted, right? In that, already permitted in the M1. So they wouldn't have to come to council for that. Only because if this zoning amendment gets changed from M2 to M1, then they can put whatever they want there that's allowed in an M1. So I would just like to hear what the applicant has to say and give them a chance to describe exactly their position and give them the freedom to discuss it. Again, being clear that the process means we do not have to approve it at that, like we're not committing council to doing anything at this point in time, and really to give them their space. And that comes maybe from my economic chair more than my planning chair. Thank you, Worship.
Can I just clarify something, Mr. Gessel? Even if it wasn't, if we say it went to M1 rezoning, would they not have to apply for a conditional use from that too?
For the outdoor use, there is a conditional use that would have to be applied for if it is an M1. So it's not full steam ahead. If it
Gotcha.
does go to M1, they still have to apply for conditional use, which means you're going into a hearing, notices out to the area, and then we will see what happens from there if it got to that stage.
Councillor Espy?
Thank you, Worship. That was exactly what my question was going to be. And at that point, would they not need to provide us some sort of development plan to go forward with that? And I guess what I would encourage if they're watching is bring that information if this goes to second reading to possibly save yourself some time.
Councillor Doyle?
Thank you, Your Worship. I will be voting in favor of this first reading as well, because given the lack of data we have on this, when it's amusement, whether it's indoor or outdoor, we could be looking at something like paintball or go-karts, something that create a lot of noise, where maybe that area is a more favorable location than in closer to a residential area or something. So I agree with Councillor Meyer, where if we approve this first reading, maybe we can at least get a little more information as the process unfolds.
Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship. And not to obviously belabor it, but if we did, just so council is aware that even though I talk about the development plan, amusement, they can do any one of their permitted uses within that. If it was a conditional use, then they have to come back to council. If it does go to an M1 zone, outdoor, amusement enterprise outdoor is a permitted use. So my understanding back to the planning district is that if this magically became M1, they don't need to come back to council. It's already permitted as an outdoor amusement. Is that correct?
Mr. Gessel?
On M1, you're saying, is it
On
permitted
M1.
or conditional?
On M1, on M1, the way I read it, it's a permitted use. It's conditional on an indoor, but they're not requesting indoor, they're requesting
They're
outdoor.
requesting outdoor. So an
Right.
outdoor would be permitted for M1, indoor
Right.
would be,
Conditional.
yes.
Yeah. So if if this
Gotcha.
got rezoned M1, then yes, they do not have to come back. I just wanted to be clear on that. They do not have to come back to council to put out an outdoor amusement enterprise outdoor. It's
Gotcha.
permitted.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. All those in favor? And that, all those opposed? And that is carried. Okay. Next item of new business, we have May building reports for information only. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Worship. It sounds like it's the planning and economic development night. Sorry, Mr. Massey. Usually it's Joe night. No, sorry. In all due respect, of course, everybody knows how much I enjoy the building reports. The reason, of course, is each report in its own right tells its own story, tells us where our city is going. And not only our city is, of course, as I always look at it from a regional perspective. So you will see the building reports not only for the city, but also for the RM. And of course, I always draw your attention to the combined reports. You will notice that there's a drastic difference between last year and this year. A lot of that, of course, unaccountable. Because of the hospital, takes up a large portion of it. Last year, we were at 115 permits. This year, we're at 82. Last year, we were at 286 million, and this year, at 8.9. So we are 270 million, 75 million different, but we do know that that was the permits for the hospital and a variety of the other things that were there. A couple real quick things to point out that are really good, and I just also want to clear that it doesn't mean that the planning district is any less busy because there's less permits. They're also dealing with all the stuff from last year, and they're doing an incredible job. New single residential housing units have gone from 9 to 18. So that's a significant, which shows for growth within the community. Repairs are maybe down a little bit, but people are still investing back into their residential houses, whether it be adding a deck or whatever it is they're doing at that point. Commercial new is down a little bit as well, but again, moving ahead, repair is down a little bit, but that's because last year I think every commercial business put money back into their own businesses. That said, foreign buildings are up. Of course, it doesn't affect us here, but it affects the entirety of it, and that's really about it, unless there's any further questions. But I'm still pretty excited about these things as I see ourselves moving forward. So that's the story it tells this month, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions on that? Okay. Next item of new business is award the tender for water main and wastewater sewer renewal. Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Worship.
Madam Mayor, sorry, before he does that, I'm just going to recuse myself due to possible conflict of interest.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Council, what we have in front of us tonight is to award the tender for 2025 water main and wastewater sewer renewal contract. And the issue is to award the tender of this as specified in tender number 25 OPS 026. So the administrative recommendation is to award the tender for water main and water sewer renewal to the company with the highest points as per city procurement policy. The tender was advertised on the city website, Merck's Construction Association of Rural Manitoba, and Winnipeg Construction Association. 9 companies were sent tenders and 2 bids were received. The tender closed July 8th, 2025. The submitted tenders were evaluated and the bid prices and points were awarded as follows. Toll Construction Limited, price of $820,212.75. Net of GST was $781,155, and for a total point awardment of 96.98. EF Moon Construction Limited for a price of $1,207,311. Net of GST was $1,149,820, and total points awarded were 69.48. The contract consists of the following work: 100-meter wastewater sewer replacement on Crescent Road, Tupper Street to Royal Road, and 500 meters of water main replacement on 3rd Street Southeast. That'd be from Lorne Avenue to Dufferin Avenue. The project will be funded from 2025 wastewater sewer renewal budget of $380,000, and the 2025 water main renewal budget of $425,000 for a total budget of $805,000. The lowest bid price came in at under budget at $781,155 net of GST, leaving a $23,845 contingency balance for unforeseen construction challenges. Alternatives to award the tender for the 2025 water main and wastewater sewer renewal contract to Toll Construction Limited, or any other direction the council may provide. So I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie award the tender for the 2025 water main and wastewater sewer renewal contract as specified in tender number 25 OPS 026 to Toll Construction Limited for the total contract price of $781,155 net of GST, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Nichols, seconded by Councillor Porter. Any questions or comments from council? All those in favor? And that is carried.
Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. You'll be in the side room. Okay. We have no old business. We'll adjourn council at 7:08 p.m. And we'll call committee to order at 7:09 p.m. Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Worship. Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee has no report this evening in committee.
Thank you. City Planning and Economic Development Committee, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. City Planning and Economic Development Committee has nothing in committee tonight.
Thank you. Community Services Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I am wondering if we can get an update on the Cocoa Platts Community Center.
Sure. Who wants to give that? Oh, Ms. Laquie Jobin, please.
Yes, so the construction is coming along really well. There's most of the work is now complete. We had some slight delays due to hydro connection wasn't able to be scheduled as quickly as we would have liked. And in addition to that, we needed to do some redesign on the walkway in between the building and the rink. So that has delayed us a couple of weeks, but we are still looking at having the site completed by the end of August. So we're excited to have that done.
Excellent. Any questions on that? Just a comment, if you follow along on Cocoa Platts runs an active social media, and you know they did have a call out recently to add to their team of volunteers to help keep the facility running top notch when it opens. So follow along for that if you want to sign up. Okay. Anything else, Councillor Espy?
Yes, Your Worship. Nothing from me, but I would like to call upon Deputy Mayor Massey for some comments related to this portfolio.
Thank you, thank you, Councillor Espy and Your Worship. A couple of updates on activities that I was involved in. We had a library board meeting on June 25th, and we decided we're going to meet, even though she's starting in January, our new library director. We're going to meet with her in August and really have an opportunity for the board to have a good discussion on some things that we really want to see movement on. And I don't want to get into that today, but just to say we're going to have our first meeting with our new director and hopefully set the stage for her sort of our strategic plan and where we want to see the library go. So certainly always welcome any comments from my colleagues about the library that things that you think could be changed there or see differently. I was able to bring greetings on behalf of Mayor and Council as Deputy Mayor to a couple of events. One was the Portage X, great event. Our beloved Councillor Meyer was the MC, and how many years have you done that? It's amazing how often you've done that. And also Councillor Nichols did it the next day, so good tag team there. But I was very pleased to bring greetings from Mayor and Council to that, and sounds like from the media reports they had a great attendance at that. They seemed to break some records, so that was great to see. I also, as Deputy Mayor, brought greetings on behalf of Mayor and Council to the Pride Portage la Prairie. It was a great event. It was a good turnout. I was proud to be there on behalf of the city of Portage and talk about our strategic plan of inclusivity and what we want them to feel welcome in our community. And I think it was we were also a sponsor, of course, and they really expressed their appreciation for that. And then I was able to go on the walk with them. Councillor Porter was there as well. Thank you for being there and keeping me company all through the walk and talking about city issues and just having a good time there. So that was the couple of greetings that I brought there. And lastly, I was given the mayor can always delegate things to the deputy, so I I was pleased to represent the mayor at the Vintage Car Awards. And those of you who remember the mayor last year said it is one of the hardest jobs. It is one of the hardest jobs. Everybody's watching you. Where's that check going to go to? But I in my heart of hearts, I gave the award to Vic Giesbrecht, and he had a 1932 Highboy Roadster. And I'm sure some of you know what that car is. It's a beautiful car. And I was pleased to represent mayor and council at that. But interesting little tidbit, Vic Giesbrecht also was the chauffeur when the mayor and I were in his car in last year's parade. So I was pleased to present that on behalf of our council. So those were some of the activities, Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Massey. And that just brings me, because I forgot at the last meeting, is that for people who don't know, at the beginning of my term, I made a decision to do a rotating deputy position. And so people might wonder, like, do I fire people and somebody new comes on? But no, that's not what happens, is that every member of council has an 8-month term in the role. And so Councillor Nichols was in the role prior to Councillor Massey. So I just want to thank him for all his time and, you know, representing us at council for many different things and being a great support. You were the thing that stands out for me a lot was when I was in Ottawa for FCM and the first evacuees started to come in, and that role you played there. And I really appreciated that support and always keeping me up to date with what was going on. And I felt that you really represented us well and you had everything in good hands. So I appreciate that time you put in. And so thank you for your 8 months. And as Councillor Massey said, he's my neighbor too, so if I need anything, need my walk shovel, no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I know you'll do a great job, so thank you for that. Okay. That's it. Okay, Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you for those kind comments as well. It would, I very much enjoyed representing on your behalf and council, and yeah, I learned a lot. It was a wonderful position, and no, I didn't get fired.
I'm going to tell people that.
That's what Joe said, anyways. As far as Waterworks Committee goes, we have nothing to report tonight. I just want to give a shout out to all those groups that are underneath the waterworks and sewer. They've been working very hard and diligently in this time of lots of water needed and lots going on, and the condition of the water and how good it is coming back out of the plant in wonderful tastes. Not to mention some of the breaks that we've had and the trials and tribulations, and got through spring, and now summer's here with a big demand. And I just want to thank you, Ms. Friesen and your crew, for everything that you're doing there. And other than that, I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would just like to pass on, Ms. Friesen, to, if you could pass on to Jared, or Mr. Smith, thank him for, it kind of came in a casual that I thought it'd be a nice idea to do a story on water, and he did a fantastic job for people to understand how the water process works in our city. So I appreciate him giving his knowledge and spending the time to do that, because if people wanted to know, they know now for sure. Maybe we can move on to wastewater next. That would be great. It's interesting too. Yeah, exactly. So please pass on my thank you. Okay. Councillor Porter, Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have anything to report tonight. Just want to mention about the automated garbage collection open house that's coming up, being held Tuesday, July 22nd from 4 to 6 at the Prairie Fusion Arts and Entertainment. That's where you're going to see, or you can ask any questions, any concerns. I believe MWM is going to be there, environmental. So this is a great time to show up, and if you got any questions, address those at that time. Fusion Center, July 22nd. The other thing I want to bring up, you can't go through summer without having some aches and pains on roads. So just bringing up the Crescent Road reconstruction, and that is starting, and so they're already set up, got some gravel there and got some other things going there. And so we are, right now it's open only one way from 4th to 14th, but it'll be closing shortly. So if you could avoid that and go down Saskatchewan Avenue for the next, I'm going to say, several months. So this way, you know, it's a good route to go, and then, you know, don't try going down there. We'll let you know when it is good, ready and open to go, because you might just be backed up there in somebody's driveway trying to get out and turn around. So looking forward to that reconstruction on Crescent Road. It really needs it. And so, yeah, that's starting right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. This evening, I'd just like to speak about something that you may have seen or heard on media already and on the city social media, but we have extended the hours of our CSO program in the city. So, excuse me, it now runs from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. So just that that extra presence throughout the day is definitely helpful. I want to give credit to Brad Bailey, who's our Director of Public Safety, Caitlin Sandin, who's our CSO manager, and all the officers out there. They're doing an excellent job. And just to clarify with the citizens, whether it's on our city's website or on our city's social media, there's a great graphic as to when to call a CSO, when to call a bylaw officer, and when to call the RCMP. So I just want to remind everyone, in the event of an emergency, you always call 911 and RCMP will be dispatched. Community safety officers are used for public alcohol or drug use, suspicious activity, property damage, illegal dumping, property crime, etc. So you can call that program in the event of one of those things. So great news. This is a great news story. We started this program early last summer, and I just am so thrilled with what it's grown to be. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I think you're going to tell us a little bit about SEPTED too, maybe.
Well, I was going to. I decided not to till I had a little more information. But what I can say is we did, Mayor Knox and I did meet with the RCMP and got a presentation on SEPTED last week, which is crime prevention through environmental design. And so this applies to businesses and how they lay out their stores as far as theft deterrence, et cetera. But it also applies to each and every one of us as residents, how we maintain our own personal property. You know, one of the biggest things that was pointed out to us is when it appears that you show pride in your property, you're less of a target for property crime. If your trees and bushes are trimmed away from your windows, looks cleaner, plus allows for those better sight lines, you know, between you and your front yard, you and your backyard. You know, it's more of a deterrent for that property crime. So I wasn't going to bring it up this evening because I wanted to come up with a little bit more of a presentation for that, but
You're going to have lots
stay
of
tuned.
opportunity.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yep, awesome. And I think too, one important thing is I do know that there has been RCMP have been visiting some local businesses and that, so they'll be buzzing the community a little bit about it. So, no, great. Just on, I guess, sort of under public safety too, and since it's the end of the meeting, I'll just talk a little bit about our situation with the wildfires in Portage la Prairie. We've been trying to put out as much information as possible to keep everybody up to date. As we know, it's an ever-changing situation in our province and that people are being displaced almost on a daily basis. The province is preparing for large numbers of evacuees. So last week, again, the Department of Families is leading our evacuation efforts here in Portage, and we are a support to that along with PCRC, et cetera, right back in it. But we set up the congregate site at the curling rink with just over 300 cots available for people if necessary. Great big thank you to the volunteers who came out to help. We had PCRC, Department of Family staff, and then we had our city seasonal staff that came out and lent a hand. It was fast work. We got it done and happy to do that. We just received notice within the last couple of hours, so it hasn't gone out publicly on social media yet, that we're receiving our first 41 evacuees today that aren't going to congregate site, will be going right to hotels because of the reasons that they are here. So we welcome them to our community, and we will continue to provide as much information as we move forward with what we need, and everyone continue to hope and pray for rain in our province is what we need the most. So, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Worship. And I just want to say publicly that you've done a great job on communicating with our citizens. I've heard it from a number of people. When you watch the EMO videos on the role of staff and the role of the head of council, you are fulfilling those roles in a great way. You're telling people what's going on. And I just, I've heard it from a number of people, and I know from some friends of mine in the provincial government, they've also appreciated your efforts. We're doing as best we can, and you are leading that charge. So I just wanted to thank you publicly for that.
Thank you, Councillor Massey. If nothing else, we will adjourn committee at 7:24. Have